The glass jar in the dump is that one's rough. That's a tough one to watch. When all the blood and glass comes out. And we are live. Welcome to MLB Live Before Lock. It is Thursday, May 25th. I am Josh Engleman. I am joined by Adam Scherer. We are brought to you by Sleeper. 5 games for tonight. We're going to be able to dig in pretty well here. A lot of murkiness on tonight's slate. I'm excited to talk about it. So hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you know when everything goes live. Adam, I'm going to describe a food to you, okay? I want you to tell me, yes, I want you to tell me what it is called. I'm going to take a chunk of ice cream. There's a cookie on top of it and a cookie below it. What would you call that item?
An ice cream sandwich?
Okay, just checking. I was told very unequivocally by Laffy this morning that I was wrong, that it is a chipwich. And that I didn't say anything. I let him intro this to start the strategy show this morning. It got to chat like a machine gun of replies of ice cream sandwich, which I knew was going to be the case. Chipwich is like the Kleenex of tissues. It is what as best I could tell, a brand name, or at least like the tagline of a product.
I've never even heard of it.
So neither had I. Somebody sent us a picture of it on the shelf in the grocery store. The original Chipwich, 2 cookies, ice cream slab, and then it says birthday cake ice cream sandwich written on the box. I was like, okay, so it's just Gatorade, sports drink. What are we doing here? Yeah, Laffy was very much against
right, except at least Gatorade and Kleenex are not universally known.
Sure.
Nobody knows what that is outside of I guess whatever town Laffy's from.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't know where he was going with that. It was very clearly ice cream sandwich. Like,
Next time I see, I have a friend that just moved here from Philly. Next time I see him, I'll ask him what it's called.
like that implies that the outer piece of it is what's naming it. If I put two cookies on the outside of turkey, I don't have a chipwich still. It's just a really weird turkey sandwich.
I don't understand where chip is even coming from.
Chocolate chip cookie, I guess.
Okay, but what if it's not a chocolate chip cookie? Like, what if it's an ice cream sandwich with like those like graham cracker type things?
Oh, the
like
one I'm looking at right now has no chips whatsoever in it.
Right.
It is a what I believe to be a sugar cookie. So it's even dumber that he thinks that it's chipwich. It's insane. Insane.
Yeah,
he thought he was going to win. I was like, I don't even have to say a word here. I've never been more confident in my life that everybody's going to tell me that this is an ice cream sandwich. I know what he's talking about. It's not the traditional ice cream sandwich with like the thin chocolate, I don't know,
right,
cookie, whatever you want to call that product that is on the outside of like your standard issue child ice cream sandwich. Not a graham cracker. Right. A child's ice cream sandwich, I get it. That's different than a gourmet
I've had these. They're really good. Yeah. I still did not know they were called chipwiches.
They're my problem in the ice cream aisle now. They sell these like individually wrapped gourmet 2 great cookies. That's how we got into it. And I was just like, I can't go down that aisle anymore because the ice cream sandwiches get me. And he was like, oh, you mean a chipwich? I was like, I certainly don't. I mean an ice cream sandwich. So it's good to know that chat is also all over this bad boy. So we're good to go.
Yeah, if you had asked me, like, if you had shown me a picture of that and asked what it was called, I would have been like, I don't know. I call it an ice cream sandwich, probably. Or, like, I don't really know what I call it. Like, what you described, I pictured a normal ice cream sandwich, basically. But either way, I wouldn't have come up with chipwich because I never heard that word in my life.
You and me both. Well, that's where we're at. Now we could talk some baseball. For someone that had twice as much of the Marlins yesterday as the field, I probably should have done better.
I talked about that with Neil this morning. I had a ton of Miami. I had a lot of Mariners. I don't remember who else I had, but felt like I should have had better lineups than I did.
Yeah, I got one into the top 100 yesterday, which, it doesn't really matter, but I was down a ton. So aggregate ownership yesterday. Just want to rub this in for myself, I guess. Aggregate ownership on the Marlins was 111% for yesterday. I had 204. I mean, a lot of that was birdie, which obviously didn't help. Not to mention Baltimore, 25% aggregate owned. I had 166.
I was going to say, you had told me that you were going to play a lot of Baltimore most likely, so I was kind of expecting you to have a good night.
Yeah, no, didn't. Birdie hurt me. I had a lot of like Wendell and De La Cruz. They weren't as interesting. I was a little bit limited on Jonathan Davis. So unfortunately, that didn't break out the way that I wanted it to. But that feels like an ultimate failure for me if I'm going to play that much Miami and not get it
Last night was also just weird because like as a whole, the Yankees weren't very good. But then you had 2 specific optimal Yankees with Connor Falefa and Torres. Connor Falefa home run and a triple, Torres 2 home runs. So it was like, well, if you full stack the Yankees, you're screwed. But if you didn't land on Isaiah Connor Falefa and Gleyber Torres, you're also screwed.
Ugh. Oh well. Back to the drawing board for today. You ready to talk some baseball?
Yeah, reloading my projections now to get some lineups made.
Alrighty. I've got lineups generated.
Have every lineup.
There we go. Oh, did that just come in? Was that A's were left, I think?
Yeah, A's came in. Which
I don't even care if I got it or not. Yeah, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah. There was 2 players different. I don't remember who they were anymore from the projected lineups, but
we weren't playing them either way.
Right.
They're the worst team on the slate. It is not close. Yankees and your Orioles. By the way, I'm going to blame both of us for this one. I didn't notice it yesterday, and we didn't talk about it. Maybe we didn't talk about it because it didn't matter. Did you know that was going to start an hour and a half late?
Did I know what?
Did you know Yankees Orioles was going to be starting an hour and a half late yesterday?
They announced the rain delay after our show.
Okay. I went to put it on TV for my dad because he's a Yankees fan, and I was like, Dad, I can't find this game anywhere.
So yeah, I knew, but like,
okay,
not when we did the show.
I just ate a slice of an edible lemon pound cake,
as opposed to an unedible lemon pound cake.
Now, edible like a gummy.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Edible has become a word that means weed infused.
Yeah, I kind of knew what you meant, but I also just wanted to point out how stupid that sounded.
Yeah. I get it, though. That's just like the vernacular now. Edible means weed.
Yeah.
Yankees slight favorites here over Baltimore. Clark Schmidt going for the Yanks. Kyle Gibson on the hill for Baltimore. Schmidt pulling pretty sizable ownership. Even for a 5-game slate, 25% owned at 8,100. Gibson just 8% owned at 7,700. How are you handling Schmidt right now, considering the ownership against your boys in Baltimore?
Yeah, so keep in mind, sort of as a backdrop for all discussion on this slate, that pitching is very, 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 very bad. So that's one reason you're seeing 25% ownership come into Schmidt. You're seeing around 25% come into 4 different guys on DraftKings: Schmidt, Nola, Sears, and Carrasco. Dylan Dodd also getting 14%. So that kind of sums up how pitching on this slate is. He's fine. The strikeout stuff is there for him. The matchup scares me, but you don't have Cedric Mullins today. He's out for personal reasons. So that makes this lineup a bit weaker. The biggest issue for Schmidt so far this year has been left-handed bats. That's not really surprising, but striking out 22% of lefties with a 405 expected WOBA and a 230 expected ISO. And now he's pitching, he's pitching this game in Yankee Stadium. So we know that plays up left-handed power as well. You have Adam Frazier leading off, Rutschman, Santander. So top 3 from the left side. Gunnar Henderson hitting 5th, left-handed. Ryan O'Hearn hitting 7th, left-handed. So you have 5 lefties in the lineup, 4 in the top 5, 5 in the top 7. That sets up as dangerous for Schmidt. But, the fact that one of those lefties isn't Mullins is a plus. And, again, it's just outside of one pitcher on this slate, you have question marks about all of them. So getting to Schmidt perfectly fine at 8,100. The strikeout stuff is there. Gibson on the other side is interesting from an ownership standpoint, in the sense that outside of Logan Gilbert, you have questions about every pitcher on this slate. And Kyle Gibson's getting 6% ownership at 7,700, while Carlos Carrasco is getting 25% and JP Sears is getting 24%. You cannot possibly convince me that those guys are 4 times better than Kyle Gibson. The scary thing for me with Kyle Gibson, though, is that he has very much benefited from pitching his home games in Camden Yards this year. Looking at the numbers that he's given up to righties, he's allowed a sub 100 actual ISO to right-handed hitters this year with a 258 WOBA. Keep in mind, he's pitching his home games in a park that now has a mini green monster 370 feet away from home plate in left field. That's going to just suppress right-handed power in a really big way. Now you're pitching in Yankee Stadium, which is a lot more just neutral in terms of right-handed power. His expected numbers against righties: 203 expected ISO, 340 expected WOBA, striking them out at a 17.5% clip. This sets up as a spot where you don't have a ton of right-handed power in the Yankees lineup, since Stanton's still on the injured list, Donaldson's still out. But Gleyber Torres and Aaron Judge in particular are going to look really, really good here. Harrison Bader's batting cleanup at a reasonable price tag. He's got some pop. Volpe is a solid shortstop option. So you do still have some right-handed power in this lineup. And then obviously lefties can do damage as well. 164 expected ISO, 343 expected WOBA to them. So it's a really scary spot for Gibson. But I still think he's going a little bit under-owned compared to other guys that are also in scary spots and not very good and getting 4 times the ownership.
I don't mind the idea of getting to Gibson on this sort of slate. You kind of laid out the reasons why. Just that ownership becomes a little bit more interesting on a slate of this size. And given our top pitcher odds and stuff, it seems like he's just getting underrepresented. So interesting spot if you want to get a little bit different here in both ways, whether you want to eat that ownership for Clark Schmidt or not, or if you want to get to more Gibson. Let's talk bats. I guess we have to start with the Yankees bats. They are ranked a little bit higher across the board. They are basically the same ownership, however, but they are 4th in top stack. The Orioles are 6th. I matched that 6th for the Orioles. I'm actually I'm a little bit higher on the Yankees for today. What do you want to do here with New York? Lots of teams at the top just looking very similar in our top stack tool.
Yeah, and I think that's what happens when a lot of the pitching is like similarly bad. But I do like the home run spot for the Yankees. It is sort of similar to what I talked about yesterday with Wells, except Gibson hasn't been as good as Wells. Wells is someone that this year has been very good at limiting production to both sides of the plate. It's just that he makes enough mistakes over the course of the game that just get blasted, that he's had issues with power and expected power, but it's not like he's getting hit hard outside of those, few mistakes. Gibson is giving up more production to both sides of the plate, but also, like I was just saying, has those underlying power issues that haven't really shown up yet this year against right-handed bats. So I do like the power upside here for the Yankees. 10% chance of being the top stack, 10% projected ownership, 9% chance of being the top value stack. Everything looks pretty good there. The one negative to taking teams against Baltimore is, Baltimore's back end of the bullpen is very, very good, but that's sort of offset by the fact that, it takes away the likelihood that you're going to get like a huge 8th or 9th inning rally if the Yankees have failed up to that point. But if the Yankees are just hitting and winning the game, you're not getting Cano and Bautista coming in. So it doesn't really matter.
What do you want to do with your boys today? I assume you're just going to go to them and just blindly do that.
I wish I did that more often. But I
you can control that.
Yeah. I mean, I do like them here just for the reasons I was saying when we talked about Schmidt. I completely get why Schmidt's getting the ownership that he is. I think he's a perfectly fine play, but you're getting negative leverage, negative correlation on the field. And you do have, even without Mullins, you do have power in this lineup. Frazier, not a great power hitter, but does have twice as many home runs already this year as he had all of last season. And he is only 2,800 at a relatively weak second base position. Rutschman's always going to be one of your best catcher plays. Santander's got power and is reasonably priced. It's not like you're not going to play Ryan Mountcastle or Austin Hayes just because they're right-handed. I mentioned it yesterday with Hayes. Going into yesterday, 13th of all qualified hitters in hard hit percentage this year. Mountcastle obviously has a lot of power. Gunnar Henderson, I was tweeting about yesterday that I think he's going to get hot much sooner than later. He is 24th in hard hit percentage this year. He has the 7th lowest soft contact percentage. He's 5th in walk percentage. Like he's been underwhelming overall offensively this year, but it's mostly been swing decision issues, getting himself too deep in the counts. If he starts attacking pitches earlier in the count, he is very likely to start hitting. Still hitting balls, like I said, extremely hard. So I like him at third base at 3,900. O'Hearn hit in spring training this year. He hit at AAA. He's hit with the Orioles. He's a guy that years ago I thought was going to be a solid hitter and then just fell off the face of the earth. But there is power in his bat, and he's only $2,200. You can't roster him and Mountcastle together on DraftKings, which sucks, but it gives you a cheaper option to Mountcastle. There is also pinch hit risk with O'Hearn. If the Yankees were to bring in a lefty reliever, like bring him in for Henderson and face Henderson, Hayes, O'Hearn. O'Hearn is not getting that at bat most likely, but still at that price tag, I don't mind getting him in stack. So the Orioles are a little bit down the list in terms of top stack percentage at 8%, but the Yankees in third are at 9.5%. So, I wouldn't read too much into the Orioles being 5th from the bottom. They are just in this middle tier that encompasses most teams on the slate.
Are you okay with the ownership on the Orioles right now?
Yeah, I don't mind it. 9%, but you also do have some cheap, you also have some value in there. And yeah, I don't have a problem with it.
Okay.
Yeah, I wanted to see, I'm trying to see, and I haven't been able to pull it up yet, but I just wanted to see what the individual ownership looked like there. Like if you're getting, I'll be even more fine with it if you're just getting a bunch going to a couple of guys, and that's pretty much how it is. Rutschman, 19%, Henderson 16, Frazier 14, Santander 14, Mountcastle 7, O'Hearn 5, Hayes 3, Mateo 2, McKenna 1. Not that I really want to go out of my way to be getting the $4,600 Mateo, who since the calendar flipped to May has been incapable of hitting at all. But you still get stolen base upside there at low ownership. I already mentioned Hayes being, really high upside bat. So you can stack this team in relatively contrarian ways. You can also offset it by, running the popular version of the Orioles stack and using Kyle Gibson. There's plenty of ways you can offset it.
I'm getting to more Yankees right now. I kind of wish that I was getting to more Baltimore, just the way that this is set up, especially with Schmidt's ownership on the opposite side in relationship to Gibson. Like, I think that's a bonus for this particular spot, but I am getting to a bit of both, just not enough of like the chalkier Baltimore Orioles, but I am much more exposed to the Yankees. Probably doesn't hurt that I have them projected a little bit better than we do. So I think that's what's drawing me to them. I'm not really getting to Schmidt or Gibson though. So there is that. I don't have much else here. So rank the game if you can.
I guess Schmidt won just because, and again, I'm not very confident in him. I don't like the matchup that much, but pitching on this slate is so bad that I think it's Schmidt 1, Yankees 2, Orioles 3, Gibson 4.
Yeah, don't worry. We've got a lot worse pitching to get to in the near future. Let's go to nothing else other than the schedule for at least for a second, hit that like button first and foremost. 365 people in here, 50 likes. Not enough. We need to get that number up over 100. I'm a 3-digit guy at a minimum. That like number has to have 3 digits. So let's do that. Schedule for the rest of the day is simple. We are MLB Live Before Lock. We'll take you up till 7 o'clock. NBA Live Before Lock is coming up at 7:30. We've got Game 5, Celtics, Heat, back into Boston. Celtics, if they pick up this dub, boy, oh boy, do things start getting really weird in the NBA. So I'm excited for that. I also need to talk to you guys about Lineup Generator. This is the easiest thing for me to plug because the tool is cheap and it's going to help you be better at DFS. I'm sure of this. If you haven't used it yet, you should. Click the link in the description, sign up. You're going to get your first week of MLB Lineup Generator for less than $5. Here's how it works. We take all of our projections and our optimal rates and our ownership. We create thousands and thousands and thousands of lineups. Then we evaluate them, let you know whether or not we think they're any good. We get rid of all the crappy ones. We don't even bother mentioning that. We just present the rest of them to you. They can be chalky builds, contrarian builds, balanced builds. You're making stacks across DraftKings and FanDuel. You can lock a player in. You can swap players around if you want. You could export up to 20 via CSV. If you've been looking to play more lineups or at least have some help with your lineup construction, this is absolutely the tool that you should be using to do so. And you get to check it out for such a small price in your first week that your worst case scenario is being out $4.48 if you hate it. You just cancel. You don't have to worry about it at that point in time. If you didn't like it, if it wasn't for you, you can get out of there. We've had plenty of people over the past, 3 weeks or so that we've had the MLB Lineup Generator tweet at us, get into our Hall of Fame and things like that based off of lineups that they have generated in our MLB Lineup Generator. If you don't want the baseball version, you could also sign up for the PGA version. Same deal applies, obviously, with golfers instead of baseball players. The football version is great. That'll be around. Yeah, sometimes you got to help people out. NFL version will be around for you guys when the NFL season starts. We had that for last season. The NBA version, not as relevant for you right now, but just so you know, it exists. So if you're a big lineup generator person, that's covering 4 sports for you moving forward. So the main point here is to sign up for the MLB Lineup Generator. Braves, Phillies. Coin flip game. Nice run total on both sides. Dylan Dodd going for Atlanta. Aaron Nola going for Philly. 14% ownership going to Dodd. He's 5,600. 30% ownership going to Aaron Nola. He's 9,500. $400 cheaper than Logan Gilbert, who is the very clear top option for today, or at least that's the way that it looks to me. Let's start with Nola here. What do you want to do with him? How do you feel about Nola in relationship to Gilbert? Is there any ownership differences here? Because we've got Gilbert on the top of the mountain, way more owned than everybody else. And then you've got this pack of Nola, Schmidt, Sears, Carrasco, Dodd to a degree. He's in double digits at least. They're sort of like the everybody else's. Where do you think Nola should be?
I think about where he is. He's a tough one because most of the pitching on this slate, you can look at them and say, just, they're not good. Nola has years and years of being very, very good and probably is going to pitch better going forward than he has to this point this season. But he hasn't been good this season. He is on the road, which, yes, it gets him out of Philly, but he is someone that for years has pitched better in Philly than on the road. And he's got a tough matchup against Atlanta. So there's a lot working against him here. So far this year, he's only struck out 21.3% of hitters. 3.92 FIP is solid. Walk rate's good. Again, I think it's likely that he just gets back to what he's always been. But this is still a tough matchup. It's an elevated price tag. I actually think, and it surprises me, and it's going to sound sort of weird to say, but we have Logan Gilbert at 9,900 getting 69% ownership. We have Aaron Nola at 9,500 getting 30. I think the ownership cap should be wider.
I don't think that's crazy. Logan Gilbert looks amazing tonight.
Yeah. So we have Gilbert with a 51% chance of being a top 2 pitcher, Nola at 27%. I'm a little bit wider. I have 60% Gilbert. I have Gilbert at 60%. I have Nola at about 22. So it creates a spot where, if you're just worried about raw ownership, then yeah, it's nice to get Nola at less than half the ownership of Gilbert. But I think it's warranted, and I really actually think that it should be wider. This is the kind, and again, it's going to sound weird to say, but if you gave me 2-to-1 odds I'm taking or I'm Gilbert versus Nola, or I would lay you 2-1 on Gilbert.
Yeah, I agree. Look, one of these guys gets to face like
the Oakland Athletics would not be the Oakland Athletics would not be the best team in AAA.
They would be, but
no, they wouldn't. I'm confident they would not be.
They would.
The Orioles AAA team is better for sure.
They would be, but I get where you're going with this.
The Orioles AAA team is better than the A's.
Wholeheartedly disagree. But I appreciate your fandom. I don't know how you can say that with a straight face wearing an Orioles hat.
Do you know how good the Orioles AAA team is?
Of course not. I don't even know where the Orioles AAA team plays.
Norfolk.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway, you're out of your mind. But it doesn't make it any less true that the A's stink. So, yeah, I'm very much Team Logan Gilbert in this one. And we'll touch on Logan Gilbert in a bit.
Half of the A's would not be in the major leagues if they played in a different organization.
What do you want to do with Dylan Dodd on the opposite side of 5,600? As much as I want to debate the merits of a AAA team against the A's.
Norfolk's run differential this year is plus 121. The next highest at the AAA level is plus 39.
Okay.
Yeah, I just wanted to work that in. But
yeah, that's good. That justified nothing. But thanks for the comments, Adam V in this scenario.
Okay, so oh man, I don't know where to go with this one. Sean V said I'm right. Fanatic said I'm high. They're on opposite sides. I don't know what to do. I don't know what you asked me. I was busy looking up the Norfolk.
What do you want to do with Dylan Dodd?
Playing him is fine. It's not a good matchup. Philly's obviously a scary team to face, but he's only 5,600, and a very viable strategy on a slate with really shitty pitching is to just spend as little money on it as possible. And that's perfectly fine here. He's pulling around 20% ownership, like you said. I think he should be around 15 to 20% owned. So I don't think the ownership is a problem. He's made 3 starts this year, 15 innings pitched at the major league level, 6 starts, 27 innings pitched at AAA. Doesn't project to be great in the majors right now by any of the projection systems on FanGraphs, but did strike out 22.8% of hitters at AAA. Also has a 6.09 FIP at AAA. So far in the majors, only striking out 10%, 5.69 FIP. The bat projects him for an 18% strikeout percentage, 4.81 FIP in the majors. He doesn't look likely to be good right now, but he has 5,600, and most of the guys pitching today are not likely to be good. And he's fully stretched out. Like, that's the big thing, or at least fully enough for a $5,600 price tag.
Right. Braves are 6th in top stack. Phillies are 2nd. They're also 2nd in ownership. They're 4th in our stack score. So they are coming in, mildly over-owned. How do you want to handle the Philadelphia Phillies today, given their top stack odds and their ownership?
I think they're a good stack. They do offer value as well, 10.5% chance of being the top value stack. So you're going up against a pitcher who probably isn't very good. The top of the order is relatively expensive. Turner at $5K, Harper at $6, but Castellanos at $4,500 is going to look good. Real Muto looks fine at $4,700. You can go to the left-handed bats here, just hoping they get to Dodd early, and you get relievers coming in. So Stott, Harper, Schwarber, obviously all reasonable plays. Alec Boehm at 3,300 batting 7th. It's going to look pretty good. There are some teams that I like a little bit more when you factor in ownership, but I do think the Phillies are in a good spot.
Yeah, they grade out well. They are a team that I'm getting under on. We've got Trey Turner pulling aggressive ownership, deserved-ish. Real Muto, same sort of scenario. I'm a little bit heavier on my Atlanta Braves here up against Aaron Nola. How are you managing the Braves in this spot, or do you see them as over-owned as well?
No, I think they're an interesting tournament play. I'm surprised they're coming in 4th in top stack percentage against Nola, but they do have a 4.5 implied. What?
The top stack run again? They were 6th last I had it.
I don't know who ran it most recently, but I have them. Yep, 6th now, or 5th. Okay. 5th. Okay. 8.5% chance of being the top stack.
Boom.
4th from the bottom in stack score because of how expensive they are. But either way, 8.5% chance of being the top stack, 7.5% projected ownership. They do have a 4.5 implied run total, and like I said, Nola has had his issues this year. You have a really high upside offense. So on the one hand, I have trouble justifying spending up to stack against Aaron Nola for a team that is getting some ownership, at least on a slate where there's just so much garbage pitching. But on the other hand, getting to the Braves as a relatively low owned stat compared to other teams, they're getting in terms of aggregate ownership, Atlanta is expected to be less popular than most teams on the slate. So they're interesting in tournaments. I think I probably would rather get to a couple other teams first as far as contrarian teams go.
I mean, I'm just a little surprised at how much more the Phillies are owned than the Braves. I guess that's just a value thing here. Like, I think these two teams are much more comparable. We've got a line that's a coin flip. I think we would both be in agreement here that the Braves lineup is better than the Phillies lineup. It just so happens that one of them faces Nola, the other one faces Dodd. I think these two teams look more comparable to each other for today, and you're getting the Braves at half the ownership.
Yeah, I mean, they have identical implied run totals, which again is just wild when you think about Aaron Nola facing Dylan Dodd.
Yeah, like I think I have their top stack odds as basically the same. So I'm getting to more Atlanta and a little bit less Philly. And I'm okay with the way that that's shaking out right now.
Oh, I might have been on FanDuel.
I mean, I have it right either way. But I wouldn't be surprised if you were wrong.
Yeah. Well, no, that explains. I was really confused because the White Sox and Tigers were showing up and I was like, they're not on the slate.
All right. Rank the game.
Everything's like the same to me. Phillies, Dodd, Nola, Braves, but like I don't have strong preferences.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's like you ranking the Braves last breaks my heart. I totally get it. It would be the team I like. It would be the thing I like the most in this game.
Well, but I'm also not ranking that based on like necessarily what I think I'm going to get to. I think they're the least likely spot to succeed relative to salary and everything else.
Yeah, it's sort of what's the best cash game pieces that we could put together here.
Right. It's one of those, so to speak. There was an example like it yesterday too. I don't remember what it was, where it's like, it would be wrong for me to say, this is the best spot in the game. But from an ownership, tournament standpoint, I wouldn't be surprised if it's my personal highest owned spot.
Did Snell really go for 30 today?
Oh, that would be cool.
That's what Rance just said in chat. So I assume it's real.
15.9.
Oh, maybe FanDuel.
Oh, probably.
Okay. Either, I was going to say, that's interesting. All right, Brewers and Giants. 4.3 run implied total for the Brewers, 4.8 for the Giants. My boy might have a jersey shirt around here somewhere. Julio Teheran going for Milwaukee. Didn't know he was still in the majors. And apparently because he wasn't. And he is also not in the player pool.
Yeah. He has not pitched more than 31 innings in a season since 2019.
Not great, man. Not great. And then Scott Alexander, the opener for the Giants on the opposite side. We're just not rostering pitchers, right?
Yeah, I don't think you can. Teheran.
I mean, you really can't.
Right. Teheran, you literally can't. No reason to roster Alexander. And then you're expecting to get Jacob Junis as the follower. He's like $8,400 on DraftKings. I don't know how you possibly do that. It's quite different than when Sean Manaea was 6,200 as the follower the other day. And he ended up he had a big game, but you at least talked about it in the sense of like, if he throws 75 pitches, he can certainly get there. Junis, not a great strikeout guy, and 8,400. Like the way for Junis to get there, I guess, is literally every other pitcher except one sucks. And he ends up being the second highest scoring with like 16, but I'm not chasing that.
First in top stack, top value, ownership, and stack score. Their top stack in top value and stack score for me as well. Is there any situation where you're not looking at the Giants as the best team for today?
No, they look great. Teheran in 2019, the last full season he pitched, 4.66 FIP, 5.26 xFIP, allowed 1.1 home runs per 9. He made 9 starts, pitched 10 games for the Angels in 2020, which I do not even remember, through 31 innings. 8.62 FIP, 6.35 xFIP, 1 start, 5 innings for the Tigers in 2021. Didn't pitch at all last year. In the minors this year, 8 starts in the Padres organization at AAA, 40 innings pitched. Strikeout stuff was decent, around 24%, 5.45 FIP. It's just so unlikely this guy's good. The only thing that does concern me is like he did make it onto a major league club. Like the Brewers saw something in him
that,
makes them think he's going to be better than he was in 2019 and 2020. But until we see what that is, I am perfectly fine loading up on bats against him. You're also getting a nice park upgrade for the Giants bats. This is an offense that against right-handed pitching since the start of last year, their active roster has a 106 WRC plus, 166 ISO. But keep in mind, ISO is not a park adjusted stat. So me telling you that the Giants active roster has a 166 ISO, it would be higher if they played the majority of their games in whatever we're calling Miller Park now, as opposed to San Francisco.
Man, I wanted Tehran to be so good.
Yeah, I always thought he would be. He just never quite put it together.
No. Brewers are 7th in top stack, which isn't all that appealing, but they are 2nd in value. They're pretty cheap to get to, really flexible from a positional standpoint as well. Do you like going to the Brewers for value? Feels like they're getting slept on a bit.
Maybe a little bit. One big concern I have is that we have Darren Ruff hitting second at 2,300. He probably becomes somebody else as soon as Jake Junis comes into the game. So I think there's a real chance that you're getting one at bat from Darren Ruff and then he's leaving. That's obviously not guaranteed. And if you somehow get a full game from him, he's a really good value. But I'm just not convinced he's playing the, beyond one at bat. Owen Miller, possibly the same thing, but I think they probably just leave him alone. So that is a little bit concerning. They did push their lefties down in the lineup, which makes sense. Christian Yelich batting 4th. Rowdy Tellez is down to 7th. So that's not actually really a negative. It's just getting them the at-bats against Junis instead of Alexander. So either way, I think as a value stack, the Brewers are fine, but I don't love the bullpen game aspect of it. You're getting one at bat for some of these guys against Alexander, then you're getting Junis in. He's probably giving you, 4 innings or so, and then you're getting to whatever's left in the bullpen. So the park's good. The price tags are nice. I don't love getting to Milwaukee though. Okay.
I'm actually getting to a little bit here as a sort of pseudo contrarian value options with all these guys in the single digit ownership. I'm finding it pretty easy to double up on a lot of them. Getting to the guys that are also relevant.
I'm finalizing my lineups and stuff now. So there is a chance, we'll know by the end of the show if I need to walk back anything that, where it's like, oh, well, I didn't really think this, but my computer did.
2nd in stack score, 8th in ownership. That's a little appealing if you're trying to be a little bit different in a GPP, or, if you want to go to a main Brewer stack with a couple of the Giants bats on the opposite side or something like that. Not going to be a popular construction. Rank the 2 stacks, because obviously we're not ranking the pitchers.
Yeah. Giants 1, Brewers 2.
Yeah. Obviously.
That was a little bit easier than the Braves game.
You know what else is obvious?
What's that?
Signing up at Sleeper if you have that ability. Unfortunately for me, I'm in a state where this isn't going to work out. But if you are in a legal state for Sleeper, you got to check them out. $100 first deposit match promo. Right out of the gate, when you click the link in the description, that is going to be your major benefit. You put in $100, you get another 100. The other big one, free square alert. These situations that pop up in our industry, you should be taking advantage of them every single time they exist. We're not happy with the amount of rake that's out there or other situations that are costing us some money. These are the spots where we can get a little bit of it back. Jason Tatum, his points for Sleeper today, 0.5. All Jason Tatum has to do is score 1 point, and that one will print. It's a 99% discount on Jason Tatum's points for today at Sleeper. That's a great benefit. They got multiple stat categories, multiple in-game contests. They actually have a chat function where you can see the picks of everybody else that you're in, and you can talk a little bit of smack during your contest. I think that's a really interesting dynamic. Most people are probably going to be real horrible about it, in my experience of allowing people to talk about contests while they happen. If you remember FanDuel chat back in the day, that used to be I don't remember, war zone.
I've heard the stories.
Woo. It was fun until it wasn't. And then it became a place that you just didn't go. They've got dynamic payouts. So each player's got a projection and it has a multiplier attached to it as opposed to something that had a preset multiplier. So it's all that would normally be based on the normal number of legs. So instead of having 4 picks or 5 or 6, it's already preset for you. Ultimately, guys, they have the highest payouts on the DFS market. You guys should take advantage. You can see it on the screen now with the Jason Tatum Sleeper free square. the free square is the big piece here. Take advantage there. Get the extra $100. Sign up if you can. Minimum deposit's going to be $20. The moment that I can get onto Sleeper, I will. They've been around for a pretty long time now in the fantasy football space, but they are a little bit more broad. They got even more features on the site. Go check it out. Eric, you mean Tommy G chat? Yeah. I remember like I would have it open at work and just the things that were being said, I was like, I think I need to close this tab. I'll just be sitting there like trying to do work. FanDuel open on one side. Okay. Now FanDuel is run as if the chat runs the site.
Yeah.
Cubs and Mets. 4-run implied total for the Cubbies, 4.1 for the Mets. Kyle Hendricks and Carlos Carrasco. 5% ownership to Hendricks, 25 to Carrasco. Carrasco, the cheaper guy in this spot. I'm about neutral on Carrasco. I'm not getting to Hendricks. How are you seeing these two guys?
I don't really like getting to either one, and I'm not really getting to either one. The pricing is fine. Hendricks did fall off over the last couple of seasons. This is his first start this year, coming back from injury. Made, I think, 4 rehab starts, but he finally dropped off. And he's somebody that didn't have a big margin for error, doesn't throw hard, doesn't have great stuff, relied very heavily on command. And guys like that generally don't like when they fall off pretty hard. Last couple of seasons, 4.89 FIP and 4.82 FIP. Like he's fine in the context of everybody on this slate sucks, but don't love the matchup against the Mets. Carrasco terrifies me. On the one hand, like he's 7K. If Carlos Carrasco does get back to what he used to be, you would obviously want to play him a lot at 7K. The concern I have is that he might just be done. I think he's very difficult to project because he had health issues, injuries. He's been around forever. Like the guy's 36 years old now. We don't really know how good he is anymore. He did pitch 152 innings last year. He was solid, 3.53 FIP, struck out 23.5% of hitters, but through 4 starts this year, 12.8% K percentage, 11.5% walk percentage, 1.9 home runs per 9, nearly a 7 FIP. Like he's been unbelievably bad. And it's not like he has an easy matchup here against the Cubs either. So, they're at 7K, he's fine. There is upside there. I'm not really getting there. Looking at if the slate started right now where I'd be at, I'm getting to Gilbert, Sears, Nola, Schmidt, getting to some Dodd, but not really getting to Carrasco. So if you want to play him and roll the dice, fine. Chances are he gets closer to last year's form sooner rather than later. But I don't think we can totally ignore that he looks completely cooked so far this year.
Okie doke. Let's go to the bats then. Mets significantly higher ranked and owned than the Cubs. And this is another weird situation where these teams have basically the same implied totals, a lot like Braves and Phillies, and they're wildly different for today. Let's start with the Mets. 4th in top stack, 3rd in ownership. What do you want to do here with New York?
I think it's an okay spot. I'm not getting to a lot of them, but wouldn't talk anyone off of it. We don't know what we're getting from Hendricks. There's some extra volatility here. One, he's been worse over the last couple of years, like I said. So you don't know if that drop off's going to continue to get worse, or is he going to just maintain being a below average pitcher, or is he going to turn into being really bad? It's also his first major league start of the year, so there's that added volatility as well. You do have solid bats here. I like Brett Beatty at 2,800. That's a nice value piece, as is Jeff McNeil at 3,300. The rest of the lineup's pretty reasonably priced. Only a 4 implied run total. I think that they're decent, but there's other stacks I'm getting to before them.
Yeah, the implied total is the weird piece to me here. I agree with Brett Beatty that I've got a lot of him at 2,800, so that does stand out. Do you want to get to the Cubs on the opposite side at relatively minimal ownership? Like, what do you think is causing this giant disparity in ownership for these two games that have basically the same totals?
Projection. So in both cases, you're getting a little bit less, drastic in the Mets and Cubs game because Kyle Hendricks used to be good too, but Carlos Carrasco has been a good pitcher more recently than Kyle Hendricks has, and Aaron Nola obviously better pitcher than Dylan Dodd. So I think you're just getting the ownership going to you're going to prefer taking bats against Dylan Dodd as opposed to Aaron Nola. It's going to project better. It feels better. And I think the same thing here. I'm actually getting over the field on the Cubs because, again, I do think that there's some added volatility, added upside. Carrasco, very easily could still be good, but also could just be done. And this team's not getting much ownership, like you said. So I'm not going too crazy on them, but kind of just looking through, if I were playing 150 lineups, like how my exposures look right now, it looks like 12 to 15% on Nico Horner, around 12% on Suzuki, 11% on Happ, 11% on Swanson. We have 6% ownership coming into the Cubs, so kind of looking like double the field on the Cubs for me.
Would you rather get to the Braves or the Mets?
I am getting to, I think, more of Atlanta.
Okay, that makes me feel good then.
I don't know. I'm getting Ronald Acuna a lot. Yeah, Michael Harris 13%, Matt Olson 11%. I'm definitely getting to more of Atlanta than the Mets.
All right. Rank the game. This is a tough one.
Yeah. Cubs, Mets, Hendricks, Carrasco.
Cubs ahead of the Mets.
I'm getting more Cubs.
Okay.
I like them better.
Okay. I like it. I was not expecting you to say Cubs Mets there. So let's close it out. Most of this will be easy to talk about. Mariners and A's. Mariners massive favorites here against the A's. Logan Gilbert on the hill for Seattle. JP Sears going for Oakland. Logan Gilbert, a crisp 69% owned at 9,900. That is 31% less than I have. How do you feel about Logan Gilbert?
Great. He's showing up about 70% for me right now. I don't have any issues whatsoever with that. I would not be upset if it ends up being higher. He is far and away the best pitcher on this slate. Talent wise, matchup wise, it's one of those spots where, it's baseball, shit can happen. But if I get burned because I played Logan Gilbert here against the A's, I'm perfectly fine with that.
It's also a price thing. Like, he's only 9,900 after some of the prices we've seen recently. Relatively speaking to Aaron Nola, he's unquestionably better there. So even that's funneling you to him.
Right, exactly. And it's backed up by, this isn't just, this guy's facing the A's, so he projects the best. He's got the highest strikeout percentage on the slate at 30.6%. Next highest is Schmidt at 26%. He's walking 5% of hitters, 2.68 FIP. The next best on the slate is Nola at 3.92, striking out, guys at basically a 9% lower clip. 2.94 xFIP, not allowing power. And then you're facing this unbelievably bad Oakland team that has a 2.6 implied run total in a favorable park for pitchers. I really just don't know how you get away from Logan Gilbert.
I don't think you do. I really don't. He came up in 100% of my lineups, and I don't have a single issue with that. If I'm going to have 100% of somebody today, I certainly hope that it's him.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, even so, I just sorted by, I just looked at my top 20, and I'm still getting 70% Gilbert.
Okay. Sears is also 25% owned right now. He's 7,300, back up against Seattle. I don't think that's the craziest situation in the world. It's not like Seattle has the biggest implied total here. Park works in terms of pitching. How do you want to handle Sears?
I'm getting to him. I don't feel great about it, but he does have solid strikeout stuff. The park is good, like you said. It's still scary, but against right-handed hitters so far this year, which is going to be most of the Seattle lineup, he does have a 28.8% strikeout percentage. He has also allowed a 254 expected ISO, but the park's going to help downplay some of that power. It's just I don't feel good about it, but he is only 7,300, and I don't feel good about a single pitcher on this slate other than Gilbert. So why not get to some Sears?
So weird. How this is irrelevant to what we're talking about right now, but it's coming up in chat about Malcolm Brogdon being injured. It came out that Malcolm Brogdon has a torn ligament in his arm. And he's been playing worse and playing less. He is not on the injury report at all. Just full on not there. Only Gallo shows up. It's insane. They also, I don't know if you saw this, there was a clip going around of Danilo Gallinari working out for the Celtics. It might as well have been a clip of me working out. I've never seen a human being look so slow. Him coming back from this torn ACL looked so bad. Oh my God, he looked like he was just running in quicksand. All right, let's talk Mariners. Well, let's get this out of the way quickly. Is there any scenario where you're talking about Oakland bats?
No.
The only way to play Oakland is if you're trying to be the ultimate contrarian today on the off chance that they're the 1% stack and you get it. There's no justification, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you want somebody to tell you to play Oakland, I think you're going to have to hit up Sean.
Yeah. Okay. Well, do you want to hit up Seattle? 6th in ownership, 8th in top stack, a little over-owned based on stack score. Julio Rodriguez is pulling the bulk of this. Teoscar Hernandez as well, I guess. How are you handling Seattle in this spot?
Yeah, I mean, I'm somewhat interested. 4.4 implied run total is relatively low here. It's not a great park for power. Julio Rodriguez is going to look great. Or, at 5,600, he looks very good. But I'm actually not getting to much Seattle here, which I'm okay with. Looking at the teams I am getting to Philly, Milwaukee. So I am getting to more Milwaukee than I expected. But Philly, Milwaukee, Baltimore, Cubs, like I'm fine getting to any of those teams ahead of Seattle. We do have Suarez in the lineup, which was questionable since he left yesterday early. No AJ Pollock. You have 2 catchers in there. Cal Raleigh hitting 6th, Tom Murphy hitting 8th. Yeah, I mean, I think Rodriguez is clearly the priority. Ty France, Suarez are going to look good. Teoscar Hernandez is a nice value, relatively cheap option hitting 7th, but I'm just not getting to that much Seattle. Looking at the top stacks tool, we have them 3rd from the bottom in stack score, 9% chance to be in the top stack, 10% projected ownership, but 4% chance to be in the top value. So I'm not getting there much.
All righty. I'd say rank them, but this one is pretty cut and dry, I think. Well, the distinction between Sears and the Mariners is the only one.
Sears Mariners is the tough part. It's if I'm ranking in order of like what I would feel better about playing, it's Gilbert, Mariners, Sears, A's. But in terms of like what I think is most useful on the slate, it's Gilbert, Sears, Mariners, A's.
Well, we got up to 110 likes, which is what I like to see. We've got 410 people in here right now, which means that I can talk a little bit about BetPro. And Adam knows a lot about BetPro. He does a BetPro video for you guys. I told you guys 2 days ago, I think it was 2 days ago, the free trial for BetPro was going away. And it did. So I hope you took advantage. But if you didn't, right now, introductory trial. If you have not signed up for BetPro, $24.95 for the first 30 days. Then it's either $30 a week or $100 a month. So you're getting the first month of BetPro for 25% of the normal price. 75% off. That's a pretty good deal as far as I'm concerned. We're taking the model that we built. When I say we, I mean Alex Baker, Steve Buzzard. We're talking Sean's on, who we just referenced, who's probably playing the A's tonight. They built this model and all of the models that we have at the site for DFS. We're now moving them over to use them in the sports betting space. The BetPro model has been profitable since the moment it came out. Across the board, things have been going very, very well for BetPro. You've seen some of our tweets out there showing the virtues of using BetPro. You get Adam looking through it, giving you the best plays that you can find in video form 5 days a week, 6 days a week, one of those two, 5 days a week. And we're showing you it's not just bets. We're giving you how likely that bet is to win, the expected value of that play, what percentage of your bankroll you should be putting down on that play. It's getting bigger. It's getting more broad. It's hitting more sports books. Now is a great time for you to check it out. And like I said, you can check out the first month of BetPro for 75% off, $25 instead of the $100 that it normally is. Hell of a deal. Not as good as the free trial that you could have had 2 days ago, but 75% off seems like a pretty good spot. Let's sum it all up. Favorite stacks for today?
Yeah, so the ones I'm getting to on DraftKings the most are Philly, Milwaukee, and Baltimore.
The ones that I'm getting to on DraftKings are the Mets, Yankees, and Braves. So we just gave 6 of the 10 teams that play today. You know what that means? Either both of us are going to look dumb or at least one of us have to look right.
Yeah. And this just speaks to like how difficult this slate is in terms of like everything looking similar. If I were playing 150 lineups, my stack exposures are actually pretty different. If I'm playing 150, it looks like I'm getting Philly, Baltimore, either the Yankees or Seattle. Brewers are coming in less frequently for me.
I think we could agree on one thing. We definitely have the A's 10th.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's for sure.
And honestly, for the most part, I'd be willing to take any of the other 9 teams.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's
like
sort of the
I have a hard time
direction
saying, I have a very difficult time saying, without a doubt, this is the number 1 team. I have a very hard time telling you who the 9th team is. I do know who the 10th team is.
Yeah, that's
every team on this slate has an implied run total between 4 and like 4.8, except for the A's.
Okay. Best pitching options for tonight that isn't Logan Gilbert, because he is very clearly top of the. Logan Gilbert is the inverse of the Oakland A's.
Yeah, and every other pitcher is basically the stacks, except for like the Giants game is the A's.
Right.
But in terms of where I'm getting, like, Gilbert, obviously number 1. I'm getting Schmidt, Nola, Sears as the best non-Gilbert pitchers.
I have Sears. I have Nola. I don't have Schmidt. I have Carrasco. So we're more in line here from a pitching perspective.
Yeah. Yeah, so I don't have Carrasco. My next tier after those guys, I'm getting some Dodd and some Hendricks. And then I have like a random amount of Gibson.
Craziness. All right, chat. We've got like a couple minutes that we could take some questions before we got to get on out of here. So, and don't forget NBA Live Before Lock coming up next. But we could take, a question or two from you guys before we bounce. Adam, feel free to get your lineups in. I can handle most of this, but you will hear me. Oh, I just assume they weren't. In my experience, you tell me that they got in at 7:04.
Yeah, safe assumption.
Okay. I figured I was right there.
I'm trying to kind of go through them and like make sure where I have like a Greg Allen one-off and $1,600 left over that he gets better. But
that's fair. Steve asked a question before when we were talking about Mariners A's. I think we'll be on the same page. He said, is starting both pitchers in this game viable or a little too contrarian? Now, you're going to see it a lot.
Yeah, perfectly fine.
Gilbert's 70% owned. Sears is 25% owned. Like, you'll see a decent chunk of that. Oh, there it is again. Kelsey Beers too. Would you play Sears and Gilbert together? That's never a distinction for you, right? You would never care.
I never care. I definitely don't care on a shorter slate where one of the 2 pitchers in the game in question is hands down the best option. Because if you're setting a rule not to do it, that means either you're not playing Sears, which is a mistake if you're playing a good amount of lineups, or you're playing less Gilbert probably. So like that's not what you want to do. I somehow got an Oakland stack.
Great work. No, maybe that's why you stink.
Yeah.
That's going to be, I hope you single bullet an Oakland stack dub today. So do you, obviously.
I mean, yeah. Yeah, it's Oakland and Philly.
Rabashua hit us with the big super chat specifically to me. You just made the cost of that booze go up by $10. Said, Josh, pick your booze. He owes me a bottle of liquor for a Sixers Cavs bet, and I have been very lax on cashing that in. I looked, and then I forgot, and then I legitimately forgot. So give me the weekend. I'll have it to you by Sunday. Appreciate you reaching back out. Pick somebody to hit a home run for today. And don't say Aaron Judge. Don't be a loser.
He is such an obvious pick, but I will go with... Oh man. I'll go Conforto.
I'm gonna go. We're just going random here. Eddie Rosario.
Okay, that is random.
Yeah. What tequila are you recommending to me, Joe? I'm not getting tequila. What are you talking about? First of all, if I'm getting tequila, I'm channeling my inner George Clooney. That's the only direction I can go for tequila. Everybody wants to be George Clooney, but I don't know what that is. Dos Equis makes tequila? Is that what I'm reading? That's outside the realm here, and I don't want to spend $100 on tequila. Tequila does not make Josh emotional. I never had a relationship with tequila. Have you?
Bad one. Like I've gotten where I can drink it a little bit now, but even that, it's typically Clase Azul, which doesn't even really taste that much like tequila. Yeah, it's always been the one where, like, when I was younger, if like friends wanted to drink tequila, it was like, that is coming right back up. Like, I need to drink something else.
Yeah, I didn't have that. I had vodka be that for a while, and then it ruined orange juice for me for a while. Yeah. But tequila, I never had an issue.
Yeah, my dad, that was his like go-to when he was younger, and like he could just pound it, and I did not get that gene.
Shame. Well, that was a good one, man. MLB Live Before Lock in the books. Thanks to Sleeper for being the sponsor of the show. NBA Live Before Lock coming up at 7:30. This is going to be a hell of a game tonight. I hope you guys are watching. I am going to go make some cheeseburgers, and I'm pretty excited about that. So, guys, enjoy your night. Fun Thursday. Leading into tomorrow. Long weekend for everybody except for us. Have some fun, everybody. We'll talk to you later.